Hey, good morning, beautiful people. Happy Sunday. We're going to talk about Donald Trump, and then I think I'm going to start with Donald Trump. Start with Donald Trump. It's lighter. And then we're going to dive a little bit into Epstein before I call it a day with you guys. So everything I share is for educational phrase purposes, just for us to talk about, bring awareness, and all that good stuff, okay? Hopefully my volume is going to be good. What time is it? It's 1:40 in the morning, you guys. All right, let me set this up for you. Let's go. Trigger Chakra King Black. What's good? Trigger warning, you guys. Some of the commentary might be a little dark. I haven't seen the full Epstein video yet, so fair warning. I'll be watching it with you guys. Chakra King Black, what's good with you? Okay, let me get into this video. Smooth Carter. Finally, right? Finally. What's good, Smooth? Thank you. You know why I'm saying thank you, right? Okay, guys, let's go. Let's get. Here we go. Okay, let's watch. Always makes us smile, right? I look beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you. Is Trump too low?
And every time they look in the mirror, every time they wake up or go to sleep, they look in that mirror and they say, I should be president, not him. So I said, despite that, it's a very friendly group. And it really is many, many friends. And very powerful people. Over the past year, we've already achieved a historic turnaround for our country. With unprecedented speed, we solved intractable problems. We really have done someday. It's been
good. Okay.
For all of us. We've transformed stagnation into growth, weakness into strength, and chaos into order, liberty, and justice. We have done that. Today, our border is secure. Murders are at a 125-year low. Thank you, Bill. Core inflation is the lowest in 5 years and going down. Prices are going down really rapidly. We inherited a mess, and we brought them down a lot, and we're going to go still further. And our military is more powerful than ever before, and we're just respected all over the world. Like I would say we have maybe never been, but certainly not for many decades. Working with your states wherever we can achieve so much more. Your governors, your great people, your great leaders. You're just about all very popular. I know every one of you, and you've all had a pretty easy time becoming governor. That's because you've done really good work. From Thomas Jefferson to today, America's governors have been among the smartest, most creative, most talented Americans our country has ever produced. So many people, they leave other positions. I will not say the Senate, but we can say that, and they want to be governor. Would you explain that to me, Mr. Governor? And we're going to save the Great Salt Lake. You know that, right? He's got a problem. He came in to see me today. These are the kind of things. He said, sir, we have to save the Great Salt Lake. I said, explain this to me, please. And in that city called Salt Lake City, somebody said, where is it located? I said, it's located in Salt Lake City, right? So he said, we're losing water rapidly, and it's getting smaller, drier. And you tell those people we're going to work on it really hard. We're going to save it. We're not going to let that go. That is what I call a real environmental problem, not using hairspray and I'm going to ruin the ozone, okay? I'm in my apartment in Trump Tower. The building is totally sealed off. And if I use hairspray, they say, sir, you're creating an environmental hazard. That's not the kind of thing we want to talk about. But saving the Great Salt Lake, that's what we're going to be doing, okay? So this was a good trip for you, Governor. I'll tell you what, because I heard you're the most popular guy there. Now, we put out a statement, and you're in pretty good shape. But there's no coincidence that 17 governors have gone on to become the President of the United States. I'm not surprised by that at all. Whether it's reforming education, defending public safety, bringing back manufacturing from overseas, or responding to natural disasters, like I think they could call that a natural disaster. I view each of you as essential partners in our mission to make America great again, and just in time for America 250. This is a big deal. I invite everyone in this room to bring forward ideas and opportunities to better serve our people, and in turn, never hesitate to let us know if there's anything we can do for you. This administration is open and available. I met with Governor Abbott today, and you had a couple of requests, unfortunately. He always says very expensive. You know, it's Texas. And he did tell me I got the greatest vote in the history of Texas by far. That's an honor. But it's Texas. It's always big dollars, but I always approve of them for Texas, right? So we've taken care of business. I hope everyone here tonight will be back in Washington this summer as we celebrate the glory of the unique heritage of your individual states with a great American State Fair. And you know all about it. Our National Mall is going to be transformed into something that's actually unbelievable. But first, we have to clean up some mess that Maryland and Virginia left us. We're going to be cleaning it up. It's unbelievable what they can do with incompetence. Together, we're going to make our 250th year the greatest in the history of our country. And we have a couple of other events coming up also very shortly thereafter. We have the World Cup and we have the Summer Olympics, and the World Cup has gone out with their tickets, and more than double. They sold more than double what they've ever sold before, way early. And it's unbelievable. The numbers they've done, Susie, are unbelievable. They just came back, and it's really, really special. It's going to be something that I think that there will be nothing like this period of time. You know, when the election was rigged and I missed my normal second term, I said, this is terrible. But I was the one that got the Olympics, and I was the one that got the World Cup. The problem was I was going to be president for another 4 years, and this was going to take place. Mr. Governor, doing a good job in Louisiana. We did a good job in that very special city of yours, too, with crime, didn't we? He said you cleaned it out. New Orleans, we cleaned it out. You never had, and your Mardi Gras was a big success, right? But we have so many different things that we can be so proud of, and what's going to happen and what has happened when this horrible event took place with the election, 2020. And I said, this is terrible. And then I said, you know what, I got to do it again because we did so well in that second election. I said, I got to do it again. And I did it again. And then all of a sudden they're saying, sir, the Olympics are coming up. Sir, the World Cup's coming up. Sir, 250 years is coming up. Now, I took credit for the Olympics. I took credit for the World Cup. And I'm trying to take credit for the 250 years, but I'm not getting away with it. I'm getting hammered. I tried to take credit for 3, but I'll take credit for 2 of the 3. But we're going to have an incredible few years. I mean, we're going to have something special. And, you know, factories are being built all over the country at numbers. I don't know if you saw, but they did job reports just came out, and the numbers of construction jobs is at a record. Well, those jobs are at a record because they're building plants and factories all over the country. The Dow hit 50,000. When I got elected, they said it would be great if he could hit 50,000 and by his 4th year, by the end of his 4th year. And I hit it by the end of my 1st year. And then we hit 7,000 on the S&P, and 7,000 was even more difficult. They said it's probably impossible in 4 years, but 5 or 6 years out, well, we did it in 1 year, and you're all the beneficiaries of it. So I just want to thank you. I want to congratulate you for all of the incredible work you've done. Now, we're with some very special reporters tonight. I often say the fake news, but I will not say that tonight, even though I'm on live television. I will not call you fake news, okay? As the cameras are roaring and they say, that guy always gets. But we have tonight incredible entertainment, as good as you'll ever see anywhere in the world. We have the greatest violinist in the world. And we had an event here about 2 months ago, and she played with Andrea Bocelli right in this room. And she blew the roof off, as they say. She was unbelievable. And when I thought of the governor's dinner, I said, we have to invite her back. So we invited her back. She's here tonight. And of course, we have these genius military musicians who are as good as any musicians in the world. So I said to myself, the press has been relatively fair to me over the last year, meaning they've been bad but not horrible. And I said, if you'd like, should we, by vote, allow the press to watch the great finale that we have planned tonight with the musicians? If you'd like to do it, you can do it. And look at them, they're all dressed up and all looking beautiful. So if you'd like, should we vote, governors? Who's in favor of letting the media watch the great finale tonight of the greatest musicians in the world? I'm in favor. Anybody in favor? Okay. Well, you win by a slight, it's not exactly unanimous, but that's all right. We understand they are politicians after all. So if you'd like to come back a little bit later, we'd love to have you. You'll see some unbelievable entertainment. So governors and spouses and everybody that's here and my cabinet members, my great cabinet members, so many are here. I just want to thank you for doing a fantastic job. Our country is back on track. We had a horrible, horrible dead country. 1.5 years ago, we were dead. Now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world, as said by many leaders of the world. And speaking of leaders, we have a great leader, a great military leader named Pete Hegseth, and he is going to say grace. He's a man who turned out to be absolutely fantastic at what he does, and you know what he does. And he's turned out to be an incredible inspiration to the men and women in our military. Again, 1.5 years ago, 2 years ago, we couldn't get anybody to go into the military. We couldn't get them for the police, for the military, for anything, for firefighters, anything with a uniform on, Governor, right? And now we're setting records in even police departments, fire departments, but the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Space Force, Coast Guard, we have waiting lists to get in. In fact, if you'd like to make those great services larger, this is an awfully good time to do it. Let's make them larger if you want. But we've never had anything like it. We went from 1.5 years ago, nobody wanted to join. We could not even come close to our recruitment numbers. And now we're setting records. We have never had anything like it. And all it is spirit and love for our country. It's very simple. So you have done a fantastic job. And Pete, you are doing incredible. And please say grace. Thank you.
If you would, bow your head. Dear Heavenly Father, King Jesus, we come humbly before your throne, praising you for all the providence you've bestowed upon this nation. For Valley Forge, appealing to heaven on behalf of his troops in this young nation. We've appealed to you from the beginning, and may we continue to appeal to you. And tonight, we pray for our president, President Trump. Give him safety, give him wisdom. Lord, we pray for our vice president, our first lady, our second lady, the cabinet members here, all the governors assembled here as well, our civil magistrates, Lord God. I ask that you give them the wisdom to see what is right and the courage to do it. Wisdom defined as the fear of the Lord being the source of all knowledge and wisdom. Lord God, your eternal truths, may they rule. So this evening, also, I would be remiss if I did not pray for our great troops, our men and women all around the globe, defending our great nation as they have for 250 years. Lord God, watch over them and protect them. It is in your holy name, the Lord Jesus Christ, the King of Kings and Lord of Lords, that we pray and we bless this food too. Amen. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. I'd like to just ask J.D. Vance, he's doing a fantastic job. J.D., could you come up and say a few words?
Oh,
please?
J.D. Vance is coming up. I didn't see this part.
Thank you, J.D.
Well, I didn't expect that, sir, so I don't have anything prepared, but I will say that like Marco Rubio and a few others, I served in the United States Senate. And Mr. President, what I admire so much about you and the governors is that you guys actually have to make decisions. You have to live by those decisions, and you have to suffer the consequences or enjoy the rewards of those decisions. The good thing about being a United States Senator, like the good thing about being Vice President, is that nobody blames you when anything goes wrong. So to the governors here, we admire your courage, we admire your leadership, and to the President of the United States, we admire you for all the great things you're doing for our country. Thank you, sir.
So, and just in closing, I wanted to, you've read a lot. We're building a ballroom for 150 years. They've wanted a great ballroom at here, even a ballroom, not a great one. Just give me a room, because this is a very small room, can hold very small numbers of people. And they've wanted a great ballroom, and we're going to build the greatest ballroom anywhere in the world. There'll be nothing like it. And you're looking right here at the entrance. This is a knockout panel, exactly where the gold curtains are. And when that gets opened, there's a magnificent walkway that goes into what will be the most beautiful ballroom anywhere in the world. So we did this no charge to the taxpayer whatsoever. This was all donations made by friends of mine and people that love our country. They love the White House, Preservation Society, the whole group, but not one penny of, and it's a very expensive building, very expensive ballroom, but beautiful, beautiful, in keeping with the White House, an enhancement to the White House. But they've needed it for years. When they had a big event, when the president of China comes in, when somebody comes in of magnitude, they put a tent out on the lawn. If it rained, you were in deep trouble, because the only part of the lawn that they can do it is a very low section. So it would be, a little embarrassing when you're sitting down with the king of Saudi Arabia and he's sitting in a puddle with 4 inches of water over his shoes. It was not exactly good, but it's under construction. But right through, that's going to be a very famous portal for hopefully hundreds of years, because what we're building is really special. But so important to say, because reports it will be totally, totally tax-free. Not one penny of tax will be donated to this. And it's going to be something that I think the country will be very proud of when it opens, but for hundreds, hopefully hundreds and hundreds of years. So thank you all very much. And this is a great honor, and we'll talk later. And media, we'll see you in a little while. Okay? Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
That was beautiful, and thank you to the person that sent me that clip. Donald Trump is doing what Donald Trump needs to do, and that's it. Now, you guys, I need to get into what? And I said, can start. I don't know. Back of my head. I need to get into Epstein, you guys. This is a little darker. So watch with caution, okay? I want to talk about this deposition that happened with with Epstein's so-called bestie, and I'm not talking about Ghislaine Maxwell. I'm talking about Les Wexner, and I think this is interesting. As far as Donald Trump praying for our country, praying for our commander-in-chief, our president together. All right, so let me set this up for you. Trump is the best. All right, Salty, Trump is the best. President, that's the president of the free world right there. Let me get into this video. It seems as if Donald Trump's name's coming up a lot with Epstein, so I thought it was okay to run both of these together. Although Donald Trump has not been indicated, he's not been convicted of any crime related to Epstein. But let me get into this video for you, okay? Let's see. My mom is a Trump supporter like me. Two of the few in my family. I'm the only one in my family. I'm the only one. Let me get into this video. Shout out to Mama Doc. Okay, you guys. Let's see. Okay. I gave you my disclaimer. It could be a little dark, but here we go.
Leslie H. Wexner, conducted by the House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform.
Oh, yeah, he's a crook.
I know.
He would make Bernie Madoff look like a Boy Scout. I mean, diabolical isn't a big enough word. The rumor and innuendo that goes around me makes me very mad, because I think I'm a very straight arrow and a very responsible person.
Les Wexner, the business guru, the retail store icon who once described Jeffrey Epstein as a, quote, most loyal friend, He faced off against U.S. House members for hours this week. In an unprecedented deposition, he shared details about how he met the man that he claims would go on to steal millions of dollars from him, and how he responded to accusations that maybe he knew more about what Epstein was apparently up to. And we have all of the video of his deposition, and it says a lot. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Now, look, when I'm covering a story, what I will tell you really sticks with me is how easy it is for total strangers out there to know something about you, to find and use anything about your private life, your name, your phone number, your address. It is all online. It's all out there, which is why I want to tell everybody how to keep your data safe online, okay? Our sponsor, Incogni, they tracked down an underage girl for sex in Florida, and with at least one brand that was owned or influenced by Leslie Herbert Wexner. Les Wexner, an Ohio businessman who has made millions and millions of dollars on brands like Victoria's Secret and Express and Bath and Body Works. But for years, his reputation has been marred by his apparent close personal and professional relationships with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. And as the Department of Justice released millions of files related to Epstein, this is pursuant to the Epstein Files Transparency Act, Wexner's name has popped up again and again and again and again. Now, to be clear, Wexner has previously denied knowing that Epstein was involved in any sort of illegal conduct. I mean, aside from allegedly stealing money from him, but I'm talking more specifically about sex trafficking and prostitution of minors. And he insists that he cut ties with him back in 2007 before Epstein was convicted of soliciting an underage girl for sex in Florida. And remember, he entered into that plea deal. See, the issue with that is it came out that June 26, 2008, that Wexner had apparently sent Epstein an email. This is after a plea deal was announced. And Wexner apparently wrote to Epstein, "Abigail told me the result. All I can say is I feel sorry. You violated your own number one rule. Always be careful." And then Epstein replied, "No excuse." Now, Epstein was arrested and charged federally a decade later, died in a New York City jail while awaiting trial on federal sex trafficking of minors charges. This is back in 2019. But Epstein, this alleged genius with money, controlled Wexner's considerable assets for years as his financial advisor. He was even granted power of attorney in the early 90s, so essentially allowed to make all sorts of decisions involving Wexner, his family, his properties, his money. Now, Wexner has claimed, "I'm the victim." Claimed that Epstein expertly conned him out of millions of dollars, and that's allegedly how he acquired much of his wealth. And more information that was released in the file seemingly show that Epstein agreed to pay the Wexner family $100 million to resolve this issue. A police report was never filed because Wexner seemingly didn't want people to know that he'd been the victim of such a massive theft. And by the way, Wexner released a 3-page statement ahead of his deposition saying he was pleased to testify and, quote, "I was never a participant nor co-conspirator in any of Epstein's illegal activities. To my enormous embarrassment and regret, I, like many others, was duped by a world-class con man. I cannot undo that part of my personal history, even as I regret ever having met him." And Wexner also insisted in the statement that he had never been unfaithful to his wife, Abigail, in any way, shape, or form. He says she was the one who uncovered that Epstein had been essentially robbing them blind. Quote, "In September 2007, 9 months before he pled guilty in Florida, we revoked Epstein's power of attorney, removed his access to our bank accounts, and forced him to resign from all our affiliated entities. Confronted with his financial wrongdoing by Abigail, Epstein agreed to and did return a substantial amount of money, even while continuing to maintain his total innocence of any wrongdoing, never dropping the con. In light of his eventual guilty plea and deception of our family, we completely severed our relationship with Epstein. Epstein was permanently and irrevocably out of my life." Again, but I mentioned the 2008 email or the parent email. "While others visited Epstein in jail and associated with him after his release, I did not, nor did I witness, condone, or enable his crimes in any way." Okay, but here's the thing. The U.S. House Oversight Committee wanted more details about just how close Wexner and Epstein were and what sort of sordid and nefarious activity Wexner might have witnessed, known about, allegedly even participated in. And that's the key, whether he funded Epstein's activities, and the key here, either knowingly or unknowingly, which as we go through this, you'll make your own opinions. There was a recently released FBI email that shows Wexner and others were labeled at one point or considered at one point as secondary co-conspirators. However, Not only has Wexner never faced any sort of criminal charges connected to that, there's a memo where it indicates that there was limited evidence regarding his involvement. Okay. Now, getting to the answers to these burning questions, it wasn't quite as simple as the committee members maybe might have hoped, because Wexner, now 88 years old, was reportedly too frail to travel from Ohio to Washington, D.C. to respond to the subpoena. So D.C. came to him at his home in New Albany. You don't see that a lot. The committee released the video deposition in its entirety, and in it you can see Wexner laughing and joking, seemingly undeterred by the massive implications of his Epstein connections, although could have been nervous, very hard to judge. But here's what I'll say. We have a lot of information to go over in this episode. The deposition itself lasted hours, and there were a few breaks that were sprinkled in, and we can't get into all of it, but I do want to highlight some particularly interesting details, including Epstein's seemingly unhealthy interest in Victoria's Secret and its young models, whether Wexner actually ever considered Epstein a friend, a wild moment when it seems his own lawyer, Wexner's own lawyer, threatened to kill him. Plus, by the way, what the members of Congress had to say about what they heard during the deposition.
We should be very clear that there would be no Epstein Island, there'd be no Epstein plane, there'd be no money to traffic women and girls. Mr. Epstein would not be the wealthy man he was without the support of Les Wexner.
So after going over the rules and the expectations of the deposition and having Wexner swear an oath to tell the truth, the committee members that were present, they started off by asking Wexner about his early life and his career. And then the questioning turned to his relationship with his financial advisor, who he says he first met through friends in the mid-1980s.
How did you first come to meet Mr. Epstein?
Was really by accident. I was friends with a couple, Bob and Wendy Meister, and I was in Florida, and I'd never been to Florida. So they were driving me around, showing me what South Florida looked like, and and they showed me the Breakers Hotel, and they were just driving around the driveway, and Bob stopped the car and he said, "There's somebody you should meet." Really smart, savvy guy named Jeffrey Epstein. And so they stopped the car. I was sitting in the back seat, and they introduced me to Jeffrey, and we drove off. That was about it.
So at that time, you had no knowledge of Mr. Epstein until Mr. Meister introduced you to him?
Never heard of him, never saw him, never met him.
Did Mr. Meister ever raise any concerns about Mr. Epstein?
No, he didn't.
And during parts of the deposition, the Congress members, the congressional members, read excerpts from various articles that were written about Epstein or Wexner over the years, asking him to confirm or deny certain information, including a piece from the 1990s in Vanity Fair.
For the record, it reads, soon after introducing Wexner and Epstein, Meister started hearing disturbing stories about Epstein's sexual proclivities. Think of whatever the worst thing anyone could do is, and Epstein did them all, Meister said. Did Meister ever express concerns related to Mr. Epstein's sexual proclivities?
Never.
Objection, double hearsay. He answered.
Never.
The very next sentence continues, Mr. Epstein showed up unannounced at Meister's Park Avenue apartment with 5 models for Meister's sexual entertainment. Epstein thought he was bringing me a gift, according to Mr. Meister. Were you aware of this occurring?
Objection, double hearsay.
No.
Did Mr. Epstein ever present you with women for your sexual entertainment?
Absolutely not.
Mr. Wexner, the committee is investigating the circumstances surrounding Mr. Epstein and Miss Maxwell and the trafficking of young women, trafficking and sexual abuse of young women or girls. Did Miss Maxwell ever introduce you to any young woman or girl?
No, I don't think she ever introduced me to any female or man.
Did Miss Maxwell ever ask you to introduce a young woman or girl to your friends or associates?
No.
Did you ever introduce any young woman or girl that you met through Miss Maxwell to any of your friends or associates?
Objection assumes in fact not in evidence.
You're fine. So just
Yeah.
encourage you to answer the question.
That's fine.
Repeat the question. I think the answer is no, but let's.
Did you ever introduce any woman or girl that you met through Miss Maxwell to any of your friends or associates?
No, never.
When you were interacting with Mr. Epstein, did you enjoy spending time with him?
Enjoyment was fun. No, it was work.
Can you elaborate on that? What were the nature of your interactions with Mr. Epstein?
Like professional, this is what's going on. Have you paid this bill? Do you know about that? Or, I took an inventory of your house, and no one would ever taken an inventory of your furniture. Do you know how much furniture you have? And it was like, no, I never thought about it. Well, I know you should know that I have an inventory. Things are buttoned up. It was like what an author would, I don't think, how can I explain it? It's like people talk about family offices, and I managed all my stuff, or my admin paid my bills because I was so busy. And I realized there was a complexity in my personal life, and somebody had to just do this stuff because it wasn't getting done properly. And so it was like, professional, I guess what a fiduciary would do, more than what just your accountant would do or your lawyer would do. And something I thought was unfair for my secretary to do.
Mm-hmm. And you testified that at times he would call you 3 times a day. Is that a fair characterization of your testimony?
No, what I'm saying is that he would call me 3 times, maybe in an hour. He wanted to tell me something about what he was doing, or would ask me a question about taxes so he could understand what he was preparing. But he might not call me for 3 months, maybe 6 months. I didn't pay attention. It wasn't important at the time.
Mr. Wexner, is it your testimony today that your conversations with Mr. Epstein were predominantly focused on your business relationship with him?
That'd be very accurate. That would be very accurate.
What common interests did you share with Mr. Epstein outside of work?
None.
So you didn't have any personal relationship with Mr. Epstein whatsoever?
I don't think I ever went to lunch or dinner or a movie or had a cup of coffee with Jeffrey.
Now, interestingly, Wexner insisted throughout the deposition that not only were he and Epstein not close friends, they weren't friends at all.
Did you at any time ever consider him to be a close friend?
No.
It's been reported repeatedly that you were close friends with Mr. Epstein. Why do you think people would come to that conclusion?
Objection, hearsay.
Speculation, because he would tell him that. But he told me he was friends. I mean, if you told me that you were friends with Bill Clinton, I would believe it. Or if anybody told me somebody was a friend, I would believe it. So I think the perspective that I have now, and I think what's really important for this group to understand, is that as I look back at it, I was conned by the world Olympic all-time con artist. And you look at, I read in the news all the people he knew, royalty, kings, princes, and all that. An incredible con artist.
At one point, it was brought up that there was a note from Wexner that was included in the new infamous Jeffrey Epstein birthday book, right? That Ghislaine Maxwell reportedly put together for Epstein for his birthday. It was filled with letters from old friends and acquaintances. Take a look.
Did you yourself write this letter to Mr. Epstein?
Sadly, I did.
Did Ms. Maxwell approach you to write this letter for Mr. Epstein's birthday?
I think the request was to write a card or a note or something for a birthday book.
And did that come from Ms. Maxwell?
I don't remember.
Mr. Wexner, would you please read the main body of the birthday note for the record, please?
I wanted to get you what you want. So here it is. Happy birthday, your friend Leslie.
And what was your understanding of what Mr. Epstein would want?
He was a bachelor, so I drew a pair of boobs.
You've
As a kind of a joke and offhandedly, I'd say.
understand.
I hope you do.
You've said a few times throughout this deposition today that you did not consider Mr. Epstein a friend of yours. However, you signed this letter, and I quote, "Your friend Leslie." Why would you sign "your friend Leslie" to someone you did not consider to be a friend of yours?
I don't know. I normally say Les, not Leslie, either when I write notes, and I guess I can't explain why I would say your friend, because we weren't friends.
So according to Wexner, his wife Abigail discovered that Epstein had been stealing from him around the same time that he was convicted of a sex crime in Florida.
Mr. Epstein was convicted in 2008. Did you maintain any contact with Mr. Epstein after his plea deal?
As I recall, concomitantly with Abigail taking over the finances, my wife is a M&A lawyer. She worked for Davis Polk. She's really smart. And she took over the finances, and kind of concomitantly, she was discovering that he would stole money from us, and concomitantly finding out about these accusations and the criminal activity that he pursued. And when we found out about it, we severed relationships with him immediately.
Mr. Wexner, I appreciate the context, but when was the last time you were in contact with Mr. Epstein?
I have no recall.
Did you have any contact with Mr. Epstein after 2008?
What happened in 2008 again?
Mr. Epstein entered a plea deal related to the solicitation of minors.
Oh, okay. Never talked to him, never saw him. As far as I was concerned, once we knew how bad he was dead.
Did you have any knowledge of illegal activity by Mr. Epstein prior to his arrest in 2006?
The only I recall is my chief of staff told me, and I don't know, he knew press, whether it was the newspapers or radio or TV, that that Jeffrey had been accused, or a woman was suing him for I don't know, being aggressive. And I remember calling him and saying, "What the hell is this?" And he said, "I was being shaken down by a hooker." And I believed him. And I think the follow-up to that conversation was, I hope, you're not bullshitting me. Because if it is, the party's over. He said, "Absolutely not. Do you think I'm stupid?" Which is probably what I would say to attorney, or say to you, or anybody that I worked with. If you do something off, you're out.
With the benefit of hindsight, were there any things you witnessed or observed about Mr. Epstein that could have suggested he was trafficking and sexually abusing women?
Absolutely not. I've asked myself that question over and over, why I didn't see there should have been a clue or something that I should have picked up on. There's nothing that I can recall, nothing, not even a clue of a clue. And I think the reason, in hindsight, and I think for the understanding to get to the bottom of what Jeffrey did, is to understand how great a con he was. Because that's the explanation I have to myself. How could I have never thought he was a thief? How could I never thought he was a pervert? All the terrible things. Never clue.
And during the deposition, Wexner confirmed that he had originally owned Epstein's multi-story New York City townhouse and said that Epstein had purchased it for around $20 million. He also confirmed that he visited Epstein's house in Palm Beach, Florida, just to check it out, noting, by the way, that he wasn't very impressed by it.
Did you ever visit his island in the U.S. Virgin Islands?
Yes.
Can you tell us about those visits?
Yes. Jeffrey invited us to see it. And we were on a boat and we went to the island with our kids. So Abigail, myself, but I can't remember how many kids we had, 2, 3, or 4, but at least 2, walked around for a while and left. Probably an hour visit.
Okay, an hour. So on that trip, do you recall seeing any prominent figures on the island?
No, and it was a pretty crummy island.
Okay. Did you ever visit his ranch in New Mexico or his house in Paris?
I'm going to break those up for clarity.
Did you ever visit his ranch in New Mexico?
It was the same kind of thing. He wanted Abigail and I to see his ranch. We flew down there and drove around for an hour or 2, got back on the plane and came home. And I don't think he had a house.
So you would fly just to go visit for 1 hour?
Yeah, I would fly to Europe for 1 hour on business trips. As crazy it is, getting on the plane and going places for me was like going to the mailbox. And he didn't have a house on the ranch, and I never knew he had a house in Paris.
Did you ever see any girls or women that looked unusually young?
No.
Did you ever hear rumors of any girls or women who looked unusually young visiting Epstein's properties or island?
No, never did.
During any visits to Epstein's property, did you ever see photographs or other images of women or minors?
Not that I recall.
Did you ever become aware of Epstein transporting women or minors using assets that you owned, whether that's a plane that you owned or a yacht that you owned?
Absolutely not, no.
Now, at some points during the deposition, Wexner seemed to be learning information for the first time, especially when it came to how much access Epstein had to his money and how much of it was moved around.
Your attorneys, quote, explained that over his years handling Wexner's finances, Epstein stole or otherwise misappropriated several $100 million from Wexner. That misconduct, together with the fees that Epstein paid himself for his services to Wexner, appears to account for virtually all of Epstein's wealth. So several $100 million is a large but not precise figure. To the best of your knowledge, how much exactly did Epstein steal?
I don't know. I don't think I'll ever know.
I'd like to try to understand a little bit better how Epstein was able to steal or misappropriate that many funds. One way, reportedly, is that the trusts that we described earlier, which I know you said you have no recollection of, I just want to be thorough. The trusts that he was trustee of would receive gifts of limited stock, and he would then sell that stock on the New York Stock Exchange and then use a portion of those proceeds for his own personal purposes. Do you have any knowledge or recollection of what I just described?
I'm effing surprised. I'm shocked. I didn't know this.
Is it that you have not previously heard what I just described?
I never heard of it, never saw this document.
And it was publicly reported, I think, by ABC several years ago, but not ever on your radar.
Never.
Okay. The report indicates that it was more than or around $1.3 billion of stock that Epstein moved around that way. Not that he kept all of that money for himself, but the total amount of stock sales was over $1 billion. You have no knowledge or awareness of that.
I don't know the amounts. The only trust that I'm aware of is my wife set up trusts for our kids, so however she set them up in the amounts, I have no idea what's in them then or now.
And then separately, it's been reported that around $20 million of stock and cash were contributed by two of your charitable foundations to one of Epstein's charities. Do you have any knowledge or awareness of that?
Effing shocked. I'm appalled. I never heard that. Did you know that? No. Except so.
The questioning returned several times to an apparent ruse that Epstein often used to get closer to young women and girls, pretending to be a model or a talent scout for Victoria's Secret, which was at its heyday in the late 90s and early 2000s.
How did Mr. Epstein act towards women or girls around him?
In his presence? Or?
In your presence, yes.
I guess the answer would be kind of normal and nice. He would like send my secretary or admin flowers for a birthday. Courteous, I would say.
Did you ever witness Mr. Epstein have sexual contact of any kind with young women or girls?
Absolutely not.
Did you ever witness Mr. Epstein sexually abuse young women or girls?
Absolutely not.
Did you ever witness Mr. Epstein receive massages from young women or girls?
Absolutely not.
Did Mr. Epstein ever discuss sexual acts of any kind with you?
No.
Did he ever discuss receiving massages?
Yes.
What were the nature of those conversations?
He told me massage therapy was great and I should get massages.
Did he ever discuss who he was receiving massages from?
No.
So it is your testimony today that you don't recall him ever saying anything about receiving massages from young women or girls?
Absolutely not. Or absolutely, I'm agreeing with you, didn't do that.
Was it common for Epstein to bring young women or girls to any other place where the two of you would meet?
Never.
Did Mr. Epstein ever request that you bring Victoria's Secret models to events at your home?
No, and no Victoria's Secret models ever came to my home, even for business purpose.
Did
Talk about one exception, stuff you've seen.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. There's one exception. My wife had for about 20 years, a horse show here for charity. And one of the models' husband was a polo player. And I don't know how they showed up as a couple. And he gave either me or my wife a polo horse, which was, I don't ride, and Abigail wasn't interested in a polo horse. So that would have been the only exception.
Did Mr. Epstein ever request that you introduce him to Victoria's Secret models?
Never.
And Wexner was also asked about his connections to President Donald Trump. He said the only times that he recalls seeing him are at the Victoria's Secret fashion shows.
Did you ever spend time with Epstein and Donald Trump?
Together?
Yes.
I want to answer this question accurately. I would go to some of the Victoria's Secret fashion shows. It was very important to the brand. At some of the fashion shows, Jeffrey was there and some Trump was there. And I remember because Trump would always introduce himself to me. And I always thought it was kind of odd that he was at the fashion show because he had nothing to do with fashion. So the coincidence of them being together at an event, it could have been that, but I have no specific recollection. And never had a social or like a drink or a cup of coffee, something that would put them together.
Okay, so just to clarify, because I want to make sure we're clear on the record, you're saying that you can recall instances potentially where Epstein and Trump were together and you were in their presence, or just a random scenario where Epstein may be there, Trump may be there separately, and then you would be.
It would be at random. That would be accurate. If it happened, but I have no specific recollection.
Okay. Did you ever see or become aware of President Trump having a sexual relationship with a person who was introduced to him by Epstein or Maxwell?
No.
Has Donald Trump ever discussed Jeffrey Epstein with you?
Nope.
Did Jeffrey Epstein ever discuss Donald Trump with you?
I would describe it, he would name drop it. So he would say things like, I know President Clinton, or I know the Pope, or I know God, or, or I know you. It was that kind of name dropping, but never, I can't remember a specific place, but Jeffrey dropped a lot of names.
Okay, so to clarify, you believe he's specifically dropped Donald Trump's name?
No, I'm saying it could have, and I don't remember.
Okay. Did Epstein ever share any information with you about Donald Trump's sexual activities?
No.
Do you have a relationship with Donald Trump?
No.
But you've met him before.
He introduced himself to me at the fashion show a couple of times, but I wouldn't say, hello, how are you? Like you say, met, like we knew each other. We don't know each other. He wouldn't, I'd be shocked if he remembered me.
Towards the end of the deposition, okay, one of the congressmen read out allegations that had been made by women apparently fooled by this model scout ruse. Take a look.
It's been publicly reported that in 1993, President Cynthia Fetus Fields, who was an executive at Victoria's Secret at the time, was alerted that Epstein was holding himself out as a Victoria's Secret scout, and that you were alerted to the problem and, quote, said that you would stop it. Does that sound like the time frame in which you recall being told about the issue?
Maybe it didn't. It could have been. I was trying to think when she worked in the business and when she left. But yeah, probably right. I don't know for sure.
What do you specifically recall about when you were alerted to the issue? In other words, who approached you and what did they describe specifically?
Something like Jeffrey's trying to pick up women, and he says he's a Victoria's Secret talent scout. And I said, that's terrible, the nonsense, or I'll put a stop to it. Something like that, because it could be possible, I think, in my memory, but I didn't believe it. But I know I called him up and said, are you, Jeffrey, what is going on? He said, do you think I'm stupid? I said, because I hope not, because if not, you'll be dead. It was a very brief conversation. I remember him being definite about it didn't happen. It wasn't a long conversation. I was mad.
So it was a blanket denial from Mr. Epstein.
That's very accurate.
And did you believe, or were you convinced by his denial at the time?
At the time, yes, I did believe it.
So is it right that you were no longer upset following that conversation because you believed that he had not, in fact, held himself out as a scout?
That's accurate, yes. That's how I felt.
Do you recall whether you had the impression that your executives simply made the story up? Or...
I don't recall. Just knowing how I think about things, I probably would have said, this is just Jeffrey Singal. It's a thing to say, a rumor could get started. I got to chase it down because God forbid that anybody was doing in the business, let alone outside the business, was dating people in the business or dating models or recruiting them or any of the stuff that we now know is true. I would have fired him on the spot.
In May 1997, a young woman named says that she was introduced to a man who identified himself as a talent scout for Victoria's Secret. That was Jeffrey Epstein. Mr. Epstein allegedly invited Miss to his hotel room in Santa Monica, California, to audition for the catalog. When she arrived, Mr. Epstein grabbed her, tried to undress her, and said he wanted to, quote, manhandle her. Miss fled in tears and filed a police report. It's one of the earliest allegations that are known against Mr. Epstein.
Yeah.
Were you alerted to this sexual assault at the time?
Same objection to hearsay, but go ahead.
Kind of the same answer. I don't know how I knew about it. And, called Jeffrey, like, what the hell's going on, Jeffrey? And I was like, do you think I'm stupid? Yeah. Like, this was a bad girl. I was on a date. She made all this stuff up. You don't think I'd behave this way, would you? I hope not, was probably what I said, because I couldn't believe that anybody that I knew would behave like that.
And what you're describing, is that the original single conversation you described earlier, or is that a separate conversation with Mr. Epstein about the issue?
I'm a little confused. This question about the lady in the hotel in New York was one conversation, and the notion or the discussion about Jeffrey's interviewing models, I think, was a separate one, and they didn't happen simultaneously.
I understand. It sounds like that might have been about 4 years apart from each other.
You could tell me 4 years or 4 months. I don't remember.
So it sounds like at that point, there would have been at least 2 conversations with Mr. Epstein about the broader Victoria's Secret issue. In 2004, a woman named had a similar experience. She was invited to Mr. Epstein's New York home under the impression that he would be able to get her a job as a Victoria's Secret model. Mr. Epstein apparently, allegedly, undressed and handed her a through the at his head and ran out of the room. Were you made aware of this allegation at the time?
I never heard this story before.
In 2005, the New York Post ran an article describing a Romanian model who allegedly landed a gig at Wexner's Victoria's Secret brand thanks to Mr. Epstein. Did you have any knowledge about models who actually acquired jobs at Victoria's Secret directly or indirectly through Mr. Epstein?
No, but I didn't meet, interview, or pick models. That wasn't what I did, and no one in the business did.
But just to phrase it clearly, to your knowledge, did Victoria's Secret ever hire or contract with a model at the recommendation of Jeffrey Epstein?
No, I can't imagine they did. No, I wouldn't know if they did, but the way that we handled our marketing, it couldn't have happened. That I think I would have known, because it just wasn't the practice.
Could I ask one follow-up question with respect to that second conversation and the young woman named? I know they were a few years apart, but if you recall, was there any part of you that doubted whether Mr. Epstein had been truthful in his denial with you the first time?
At the time, I don't think I connected them. You can't imagine how busy I was. I was engaged, I was married, I'm running 20 businesses. I never made the connection.
And as far as you recall, those are the only 2 times that you were alerted to Mr. Epstein holding himself out as affiliated with Victoria's Secret.
Those stories, yeah.
According to Wexner, he had never been questioned by any law enforcement agency in connection with Epstein and his alleged sex trafficking operation, which, if this is true, is startling to say the least. But again, we don't know this for sure.
We discussed earlier in this deposition around the time frame of 2019, if you had any involvement with law enforcement as they investigated Mr. Epstein for his crimes he was ultimately charged with in New York. Just to clarify, did you speak to any law enforcement agency of any kind regarding Jeffrey Epstein's investigation in New York in 2019?
Never, didn't. No, I don't remember ever talking to any law enforcement agency.
Did you ever provide any documentation to any law enforcement agency of any kind regarding Jeffrey Epstein and his investigation in New York in 2019?
Not to my knowledge.
And just to be clear, you never formally interviewed with anyone from the FBI or Department of Justice about Jeffrey Epstein or his criminal investigation in 2019?
Never.
Did Mr. Epstein ever contact you or attempt to contact you after his arrest in 2019?
I don't think so. He was dead.
Well, before he died?
No, I mean dead with me.
Understood. Did anyone affiliated with Mr. Epstein ever reach out to you in 2019 regarding his investigation in New York?
Never. No.
Okay, I have to highlight this. So as the deposition passed the 4-hour mark, the 88-year-old started going off on more and more tangents. His attorney did not seem to be happy about this. And I want you to listen carefully because it seems his attorney at one point not only had to rein him in, did he allegedly threaten him?
Answer the question.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm sure we all appreciate the stories. We're just trying to answer the questions they actually want to be answered.
Okay.
That's very helpful. Thank you.
I hope it is. As an example, I didn't have the idea to inventory furniture or valuables. And it's like, how could you have all silverware in your house? And what? And I didn't count forks and spoons. And it's like, Jeff said, people could be walking out with forks and spoons. I said, gee, that's a good idea. We ought to have an inventory. But then there was I hired a lady to be like the house manager who had run the U.S. Embassy in Rome. And said, yeah, I know how to do this. And I said, well, why don't we keep inventories of stuff? And she said, well, yeah, I could do that. So she did that as kind of a puny example, but I wouldn't have had the idea. But then all the things were inventoried. That wasn't work for me or Jeffrey. It was just regularly done.
Kind of tough to hear, but his counsel seemingly said, I will effing kill you if you answer another question with more than 5 words. Okay.
Whoa.
Wexner laughed. A lot to make of that one. Look, I will say any attorney doesn't want their client saying more than they have to under oath. Anything can open them up to liability or further questions. Optically, for a guy who claims that he was completely in the dark, that he's innocent, what's the harm of saying too much, right?
Mr. Wexner, is it your testimony here today that Mr. Epstein's wealth came from not only yourself, but also this extensive network of clients that also were wealthier, otherwise influential individuals?
No question. Absolutely.
And, you know, sitting here today, with the benefit of hindsight being 2020, how do you think that the United States Congress could prevent the crimes and, in your words, cons and deceits that Mr. Epstein and by extension Ms. Maxwell committed on victims around the world and specifically in the United States?
Well, I would hope that this interview or whatever it is today would help you to understand that he was a crook and a con man. And in hindsight, looking back, he would make Bernie Madoff look like a Boy Scout. So complete, so diabolical. I mean, just incredible, sinister. If I were giving the government advice, I tell the IRS to look into Jeffrey. He couldn't have made all that money and spent all that money and had the lifestyle he did and be the crook that he was and pay taxes.
He didn't care.
If he would do the things that he did to those women and do the things that he did to me, then anything is possible, I believe. And so
Okay, Captain.
Al Capone went to jail for being a crook and tax evasion. It would be so obvious to me today that now that I know Jeffrey's a crook and the things he did and the people he was associated with, there was a lot of money and he got it from a lot of people. I can't believe that he had time to really work because he was playing so goddamn much and I never knew it. If it's my attorney or your attorney, I don't know if I would assume you're an attorney, but if you had one, and every time you talk to him and he said I'm in the office working on your stuff, I don't think you'd run over there to see whether he was working on your stuff or believe that he wasn't in the office. But the con was so just crazy. I mean, I've searched my memory and say, why didn't I pick up clues? And I think he would have he could trick me all over again if I was, if I was at that position of trust with someone like that. Really bad, I think, unbelievable stuff to me now that I look back.
Do you have any recollection of having any form of contact with him after 2008?
Nothing. I'm positive that I had no communication of any kind. I keep repeating that from my point of view, he died. I didn't want to even think about it.
Do you have any reflections as we close this conversation, whether it's on your relationship with Mr. Epstein or the pain and suffering that he and his accomplices inflicted on countless victims and survivors, largely with your resources? Any reflections of any kind on the entire topic?
Objection assumes the fact not in evidence.
Well, I believe he had a lot of resources beside mine. I think the only thing I said earlier was that if you really, if you understand, I think, I think he had, in hindsight, multiple personalities, incredibly smart, which I didn't really see. I mean, when you can bullshit Nobel laureates about physics and university professors and physicians and all the people that I've read about, I mean, if it was a movie, no one would believe it. I mean, but what I read about him and the connections is so, and I think that the perspective to understand it would be to understand how intelligent he was in his, as a criminal, and all the things that he did. And I mean, I have trouble imagining how he could just do all the shit that he did, forget about work, in a 48-hour day, because it was always so busy with my stuff. And then you find out all these relationships. It's just mind-boggling. And some of it, even today, I can't believe that it's so. But some of the stuff I believe because I read about it. I mean, stuff I read yesterday, I said, pardon me, I can't believe this. And I think to understand it, the criminal activities, all this stuff, it's like, I hope you guys are really good. And I, as I said earlier, I hope, probably the dismay of my advisors to give you an accurate picture of how I am and how he was, how I perceived him. And I mean, diabolical isn't a big enough word. And I think I said early, Bernie Madoff was a Boy Scout compared to Jeffrey. I mean, if I just believe what I read in the press about people that he contacted, university presidents, Gergen, my friend, I mean, it's just crazy. But he was beyond perfect or good at doing all the that he did. It's just, I think it's the rumor and innuendo that goes around me makes me very mad, because I think I'm a very straight arrow and a very responsible person. I don't want to give you a speech on my virtue, but I'm comfortable in my own skin. And I look up and say, it's so preposterous to me what he got away with so long with so many people, that I can't imagine how a mind could do that and be robbing banks. It's crazy.
Thank you. And then one last question. I think your counsel has represented to DOJ that your assets accounted for virtually all of Mr. Epstein's wealth. Sounds like you don't agree with that?
I wouldn't know it, but I really don't know what his wealth is. But, island house, all that lifestyle, buying people's gifts, and it would seem to me that having a good sense of how much money now he probably stole from us, or more than that we don't even know about yet because it was disguised. I think it's a vast, I know if you said it, to do all the things he did. And now I know he was, if you would, a bank robber. Bank robbers don't rob one bank. That was just, there's more there. And I can understand why people like myself who were robbed don't want to be mentioned because they don't want to talk about it. They don't want to, appear naive or dumb. I mean, when I look in the mirror, I know I see an honest person, but in this, I was completely blind.
Okay, thank you. You can go off the record.
Okay, during a break in the deposition, the members of Congress that were questioning Wexner came out to give reporters an idea of what was going on inside, because to be clear, this video deposition hadn't been released yet.
It's clear that Mr. Wexner is trying to downplay how close Jeffrey Epstein and Mr. Wexner actually were. And we should be very clear that there would be no Epstein Island, there'd be no Epstein plane, there'd be no money to traffic women and girls. Mr. Epstein would not be the wealthy man he was without the support of Les Wexner. I think it's very important for us to note at this moment. There's a significant amount of questioning that has gone on, but I want to say one other thing and then I'm going to turn it over. We are committed to ending this cover-up. Right now, as we speak, over 50% of the Epstein files have not been released to the public and to the Congress.
The more this deposition goes on, the less Wexner knows about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. There was a deep trust between these two men. There was a deep friendship there. Not only in a business sense, but Les Wexner gave Epstein the ability to handle his children's and his family's money. So at least that part of it makes it hard to believe Les Wexner's testimony thus far. It may be a question as to whether Les Wexner was involved in the crimes directly, but there is no question in my mind, given the evidence so far, that Les Wexner knew about this and failed to stop it and gave Epstein license and the ability to commit these crimes.
Yeah, so it seems they're not buying that there's so much that Wexner can't recall, when it seems that he was one of the people that Epstein was closest with for a large chunk of his life. Maybe. For now, many in Congress, they're still calling for more of the Epstein files to be released or unredacted. And this is, by the way, despite the DOJ's indication that there's really nothing else to provide. But I will tell you one thing, this story and what's in those files, not going anywhere. And that's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar, everybody.
That's a lot. I'm not really buying Wexner's deposition. The American billionaire, businessman, and philanthropist. I think that he's hiding a lot, and I hope that it comes out. Can you guys handle one more? There's something I want to show you related to this story that I haven't really got into. Let me see if I can pull it up, because I wasn't planning on showing you guys this. Give me a second. Let me see how fast I can find it. If I can find what I am looking for. So what do you guys think? What could he be charged with? What crime? I think he's a creep, that's for sure. Okay, let me see if I can find this for you. What are you guys thinking about his testimony? It's not that long what I want to show you. Here it is. It's another kind of creepy video. So use discretion. Oh, wait. Y'all can't see it. Can y'all see my video? If you liked my doc. Wait, could y'all see my video? Accomplice? Did they say 50% hasn't been shown yet? Did they say that? Okay, let me see if I could bring you guys. Here it is. No.
But this time, We want to get into some
forgot.
really disturbing alleged secrets of toxic plants that could take away someone's free will, the harrowing diary
Y'all see
entries
that?
about babies being taken away,
90%?
and a major update on the
He said
potential search
50%
of
though,
dead
Shorty. I
bodies
believe
on an Epstein
90
property.
Cent hasn't been released.
Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime.
He's a co-conspirator act. I think so. Damage said,
You
well,
can
so
follow
far they
us
can
here
get
on Sidebar
them
in
on
our
his
continued
financial
coverage of
crimes.
the Epstein files. You know,
That's
there
a good
is
point.
no shortage of bizarre and creepy and strange and suggestive and just disgusting communications and content. But right now, there are three things that popped up that are so weird, so disturbing. I just wanted to dedicate a full episode to this, okay? An allegation that Epstein was interested in acquiring toxic plants that could take away someone's free will? What? For the guy who was accused of orchestrating a sex trafficking of minors operation, that's something we got to talk about. Diary entries, or what appear to be diary entries of an alleged young victim, they are horrifying. They may add more fuel to this idea of Epstein having secret babies. We have an update on that.
You guys, I didn't show you guys yet, but I think this is important to go over with the Epstein files. So just watch with discretion, okay? It's pretty dark.
And an update on something that we did just a few days ago, an update on the claim, the allegation that there are dead bodies on Jeffrey Epstein's former New Mexico property, the Zorro Ranch, or around the Zorro Ranch. Got to talk about that. So I want to start with the plants, okay? So there are a series of communications about this. The first that I want to bring up is from Jeffrey Epstein. It's an email from Jeffrey Epstein to an Ann Rodriguez, okay? It's dated March 3rd, 2014. And he asks, ask Chris about my trumpet plants at nursery? And the response later on is will do. So one way to look at this is, was he referring to Angel's trumpet plants? I looked into it. So these are ornamental plants in the nightshade family. You see them in warmer climates, but you can grow them in greenhouses. And they're usually safe, but if you eat them, they could be toxic. One of the compounds in that plant, the reason we're talking about it, is something called scopolamine, okay? This can have a serious effect on the nervous system and can even cause hallucinations. You know, according to TMZ, scopolamine can cause memory loss. It can interfere with someone's free will. And there's something else about this. Scopolamine reportedly doesn't show up on toxicology reports either. To be a little bit more exact, our understanding is it doesn't show up on standard tests, maybe can be detected in targeted tests, but obviously you can see why this is a concern. And with that in mind, I got to turn to another email. It's dated January 27th, 2015, and this person is forwarding Jeffrey Epstein a Daily Mail article about scopolamine. In fact, it says forward, scopolamine, powerful drug growing in the forests of Colombia that eliminates free will. In the article, I'm going to quote it directly. It says, so again, why was this forwarded to Jeffrey Epstein? Why was this highlighted? The most dangerous drug in the world, devil's breath chemical from Colombia, can block free will, wipe memory, and even kill. Scopolamine, often blown into faces of victims or added to drinks. Within minutes, victims are like zombies, coherent but with no free will. Some victims report emptying bank accounts to robbers or helping them pillage own house. Drug is made from borrachero tree, which is common in Colombia. And I want to call out this section too from the article. It says, Dementia Black, a drug dealer in the capital of Bogota, said the drug is frightening for the simplicity in which it can be administered. He told Vice that scopolamine can be blown in the face of a passerby on the street, and within minutes, that person is under the drug's effect. Scopolamine is odorless and tasteless. Quote, you can guide them wherever you want. It's like they're a child. So this arguably shows that Epstein was aware of and maybe even was interested in the effects of this plant. And that brings me to another document that I got to call out, because it's one thing for Epstein to be interested in, maybe wanting to grow it, but what about using it and potentially using it for nefarious purposes? And remember, there have been allegations against Epstein that were very similar to what I'm talking about right now. You know, there was a FBI crisis intake memo that was in the files, and it was dated October 8th, 2019. And it says that at 8:40 p.m., Redacted called the FBI National Threat Operations Center to report being an Epstein victim. Redacted provided the following information. Redacted was raped by Epstein in 1984 when she was 14 years of age. Redacted stated Epstein drugged her at Redacted in Redacted. Prior to being raped, Redacted came in and out of consciousness and stated Epstein's face was painted like a clown. All right, before we jump into everything, look, it's February. This is the time we're all starting to get into a bit of a winter slump, but nothing rejuvenates like home cooking, right? HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. They deliver with recipes that feel good. They taste amazing every night of the week. As much as I always want to, cook from scratch, that time. But here's the good news. HelloFresh, which is so easy to order in just a few clicks, means I don't have to compromise my love of healthy or fun dishes. And what I love about HelloFresh is that they bring people together with meals that are just simple to make. Try something new. That's the best part. For me, I would be looking at options now too, and over 35 high-power 10 FM to get 10 free meals. Scopolamine to drug women or girls in any fashion and then sexually assault them. There's nothing blatant that I've seen to suggest that. However, I have to call this out because what we found here is very weird. It brings me to this document, February 2022. It is described as a victim impact statement that was sent to the United States Attorney in South Florida, Tony Gonzalez. And it's apparently from a Joseph Manzaro discussing an incident in December 2014 where he was drugged. Now, if anybody's been following us here on Sidebar for a while now, as I was listening to this and I was reading, I was like, why does that name sound so familiar? And I realized we covered this guy. Joseph Manzaro, we don't know exactly who he is, but he is somebody we've talked about before. This person, apparently out of Florida, Joseph Manzaro, filed a lawsuit in Florida federal court. He claimed that he was a victim of sex trafficking and sexual exploitation at the hands of Sean Diddy Combs and others. We talked about him. We covered this, his lawsuit, where through a victim impact statement, it's very similar to what I'm about to go through. It says that it was about 5:30 p.m. on December 26, 2014, when I arrived home. I unlocked my door, and when I turned the handle on my door, I got something all over my hand that resembled Vaseline. I said to myself, ew, that's disgusting. I rubbed my fingers together in my hands as I went in to wash my hands to see what the heck this stuff was. The next thing I remember was waking up in the backseat of a car and being driven somewhere. It was Eric Mejias driving and Bonnie Rivera in the passenger seat. I said, hey guys, what's going on? Where are we going? What am I doing here? Why are we driving anywhere? I'm supposed to be at home right now. Then I said, oh wow, I'm really sleepy. I need to just put my head back a bit. The next thing I remember was waking up again and hearing Bonnie Rivera telling Eric Mejias that I was waking up. He said, he's waking up because what should I do? Eric Mejias then told him not to worry, just give it a minute. He'll fall back asleep again. I gave him a lot of that scopolamine. He must have given me a blot because I'm practically immune to that stuff. As a child, I had to take it quite a bit to go deep sea fishing with my dad on the weekends, which I loved. I just hated being seasick and developed quite a large tolerance to scopolamine. I thought that to myself, though. So this is very confusing because there's no direct mention in this to Jeffrey Epstein. I'm not sure why it's in the files, but how could I not mention it when it's another direct reference to scopolamine? Again, seeming Epstein had some sort of interest in the trumpet plant that had this. So what do we make of it? Not entirely sure, but it's eerie to say the least and something to think about. Now, second part, I want to talk about a diary, what appear to be diary entries. In the files, there appear to be these diary entries from what seemed to be a young girl. And in the passages, there is descriptions of abuse, trauma, pain. And while we talk so much about Epstein and the money and the alleged co-conspirators, if these allegations are true and what's being described, I just want to read you some samplings from this. And it centers around this person being pregnant and giving birth. These detailed, disturbing, alleged accounts of childbirth with Ghislaine Maxwell being right there. So as much as we talk about Epstein and all that, sometimes we don't talk enough about what these accusers, what these alleged victims went through. So let me read you from these, again, what appear to be diary entries. Close your eyes, close your eyes, close your eyes. Don't speak, she doesn't talk. I can't stop shaking and it's been a week. A decision was made, but I can't tell Jeffrey. These things happen. Why didn't I close my eyes fast enough? The doctor was different again, I think from Israel. He had kind eyes, but didn't speak directly to me. This was different. A shot, and those rod-like things had a hook and so much pain. Ghislaine said to push all the pain away. I don't understand. Blood and water all over the bed, and she was right. Like a feeling when your tummy hurts and you have to push. She said to close my eyes and put her hands over my eyes, but I didn't close them because of these tiny cries. I am so lost. I saw between her fingers this tiny head and body in the doctor's hands. It reached its tiny arm up and had a tiny foot. I closed my eyes and no more cries. And when you go to page 20 of this particular packet, chillingly, there is even a picture of a sonogram on a page with the words, "She is gone and she won't be coming back." And next to what appears to be a poem entitled "Child," you have passages such as, "Your clear eye is the one absolutely beautiful thing. I want to fill it with color," and ducks. Now, we don't know for sure who this person is. We don't know if this claim is real. We don't know if this sonogram is the baby the person mentions. And also, we can't confirm whether any charges or investigations were launched because of the specific account or accounts. But it seems the allegation is clear, right? That she was impregnated, and as I'll get into, either by Jeffrey Epstein, or maybe she was a surrogate of some kind, but the baby was taken away. And what is interesting when we talk about her credibility, at least to me, is the apparent specificity of detail and acknowledging certain personal details about Epstein. Like, for example, there's this passage. After so many bonding moments with Jeffrey, Ghislaine, their baby inside me, with me in the middle, she wouldn't even look at me. We said nothing to one another, and I was so confused. When we arrived at Palm Beach, I was taken to a house close to Jeffrey's, I think called Ocean Boulevard or Street. But it was close, and I was alone except for a new driver, not Mr. Juan. So that is seemingly in reference to Juan Alessi, who managed Epstein's Palm Beach estate, testified in Ghislaine Maxwell's criminal trial, by the way. So how would she reference Juan unless she, again, did have a connection to him of some sort? But before I go further into the diary, I do have to say this. We have heard about this before, the secret Jeffrey Epstein children or child. There were communications from Sarah Ferguson, formerly Prince Andrew's ex-wife, to Jeffrey Epstein like this. Don't know if you're still on this BBM, but heard from the Duke that you've had a baby boy. Even though you never kept in touch, I still am here with love, friendship, and congratulations on your baby boy, Sarah XX. How about this one? You've disappeared. I did not even know you were having a baby. If it was so crystal clear to me that you were only friends with me to get to Andrew, and that really hurt me deeply, more than you will know. Now, look, we don't know if this is true, but if that was the case, this boy would be around 15 years old today. You couple that with a diary entry here from someone, the handwriting is kind of difficult to decipher, but she writes about feeling like a human incubator, says that Epstein talked about creating a superior gene pool. I want to go back to the diary that we're talking about. Page 19. My heart belonged to her. She was so very beautiful. She was perfect. I can't bring myself to write what happened. I am beyond broken. I only got 10 to 15 minutes to hold and feed her before they took her. She is mine. I want her back. Distraught. Tomorrow is the halfway ultrasound for Jeffrey. This one stuck. After they took the first baby who survived in the early miscarriage, I think it was called, I no longer feel like a person but a vessel. Will they take this one too? Who has the first one? Where did Ghislaine go? She is never around. I can't let myself get attached. I'm not old or mature enough or even the place to have a baby that I would be responsible for. I am not even able to focus on anything other than hiding this again. I had to go to eating disorder treatment prior to being in their situation again and missed the entire fall semester of school. I am so very exhausted. My body feels so tired. Will I ever be free? There's this one. I am such a monster. I didn't console her. I can't unhear her screams. They haunt me. I couldn't even bring myself to look at her. I am a monster. I deserve to be haunted by her screams. I am so sorry. I am so broken. This one. So sorry, Jeffrey. These things happen when your body had never been given time to properly heal. So it came out in the toilet, and I didn't know what to do, so I just flushed the tiny little fetus. You have made me numb, and I hate you for this. I hope I never have to see you again. I am not your personal incubator. Where is the baby? Where is Ghislaine? So that's in reference to what I mentioned before. And look, when you look through these pages, it is almost like a scrapbook of pictures and words that arguably paint a disturbing picture of abuse and trauma. Like this one, our finance department deals with all the paperwork. Unfortunately, the finance department is also, and then written next to it, family. Who knew? Who knew? I was born a slave. There's a picture of a baby in a diaper with the words, I couldn't stay under the same roof. Your life will never be the same. In big, what appear to be stamped out words, maybe from articles, it says, heart is gone, inhuman profit. There's one that says, I love you so much, but it crosses out the you and puts her instead. Steals the baby, brought her such joy. You have a picture of a courtroom that says, you should never be here alone. There's a collection of words, protect the vanishing children through a child's eyes. I won't let pain keep me from surviving. And I have to mention this too. There is a call out to another Epstein associate, Jean-Luc Brunel, French model scout, died in his jail cell while being investigated out in Europe for sex crimes. This is the passage.
Thank you.
Jean-Luc Brunel is a disgusting pig with bad breath, and I'm almost positive does these disgusting things because he's struggling with maybe being gay. 6 weeks wasn't even given before being sent back. Punishment for trying to run. Why can no one help me? Ghislaine is gone. I am so lost and my heart is broken. Is this my destiny? I don't know what to make of it other than, you know, it's part of this collection. It's part of these files. It's important to mention. And if the allegations are true, it kind of gives you an insight into what was going on. Now, I mentioned we have one final topic here as we talk about alleged Jeffrey Epstein secrets. I mentioned this in a previous sidebar. Do you remember when I talked about the allegation that there are bodies buried in connection with Epstein's former New Mexico property, the Zorro Ranch? And this came out from a key document in the files. An email from November of 2019 appears to be directed to an Edward Aragon. According to KOB4, he's a local radio host. The other names are redacted, but it says, Edward, this is sensitive, so it'll be the first and last email depending on your discretion. You can choose to take it or trash it, but this comes from a person that has been there and seen it all as a former staff at the Zorro. The material below was taken from Jeffrey Epstein's home as my insurance in case of future litigation against Epstein. Sorry, no questions. What is damning about Jeffrey Epstein is yet to be written. Did you know somewhere in the hills outside the Zorro, 2 foreign girls were buried on orders of Jeffrey and Madam G? Both died by strangulation during rough fetish sex. Now, last time I brought this up, okay, I explained how this property has been linked to allegations of sexual assault and how New Mexico lawmakers officially passed legislation to launch an investigation into all of this. Well, here's the latest. Now, the New Mexico Department of Justice just upped the stakes. They released the following statement. Upon reviewing information recently released by the U.S. Department of Justice, Attorney General Raul Torres has ordered that the criminal investigation into allegations of illegal activity at Jeffrey Epstein's Zorro Ranch be reopened. By the way, you hear that? They say illegal activity, not just sexual abuse claims, illegal activity. Although the state of New Mexico's prior investigation was closed in 2019 at the request of the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York, revelations outlined in the previously sealed FBI files warrant further examination. Special agents and prosecutors of the New Mexico Department of Justice will be seeking immediate access to the complete unredacted federal case file and intend to work collaboratively with our law enforcement partners, as well as the Epstein Truth Commission recently established by the New Mexico legislature. As with any potential criminal matter, we will follow the facts wherever they lead, carefully evaluate jurisdictional considerations, and take appropriate investigative action, including the collection and preservation of any relevant evidence that remains available. We are moving quickly and deliberately on this issue and will provide updates as appropriate. Let me just say, keep a careful eye on what happens there too. But that's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, please subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. You can also follow us on NBC's Peacock. We have Sidebar episodes up there as well. If you want to follow me, X, Instagram, my News Nation show.
There you go. Oh, wait.
Absolutely.
Sorry. Okay, guys, that was dark. I told you guys that would be dark. There's a lot more. And my computer's glitching on my end, so I'm not sure if you guys can hear me or not. Misunderstood. I'm overnight on the clock. Oh, Lawrence, I see. Yeah, it's only 3 o'clock here. I'm Pacific Standard Time. Let me read your comments from my phone. So I don't know what happens to my screen, so I have to play it off like I can actually see you guys. Weird. It's snowing in New York. Be safe. So I'm going to say this. There's a lot more with these files, and I know that it's dark, but I still cover it because it's what happened. And I feel that these victims need justice. The very wealthy play by a different set of rules. If this would have been anybody else, there would have been convictions. But with Epstein being unalive, I don't believe that he committed suicide. I don't believe that. There's just a lot of unanswered questions. And regardless if you're Republican or Democrat, I love that we can come together at least on this. I think we all agree that these victims deserve justice. I have not heard the word redacted so many times. Now I hear the word redacted everywhere. Okay. So according to the video, 50% of the files has not been released. Some of you are saying 90%. You don't believe it either, Lawrence? Right. Right. I don't believe it. There's another guy, and the name cannot come to my head. Oh my goodness. Who supposedly took his life as well as they were getting ready to question him. I don't believe Wexner at all. His testimony comes across as shady. If it wasn't for Wexner, and I'm not placing blame, okay, but there wouldn't be an Epstein Island. There wouldn't have been private jets. There wouldn't have been any of that because he was a financier. He financed all that stuff for Epstein. Epstein was connected to so many important people. And I don't understand why somebody would build his brand up. I mean, he has, let's see, he had the limited Bath and Body Works. Like his portfolio is insane. And he has to step down as CEO. There's so many people. So many layers to this, but hey, everybody has their day. Look at Epstein. He did, I'm fine on your end. Okay, damage. Then I have to play it off because I can see you guys with my screen. Something happened to my screen, so I have to use my phone. Epstein did all of that just Victoria's Secret. That's a big one. That's right, Rachel. He did all of that just to end up 6 feet under, and that's what happens. You know, the Bible says the wages of the sin is death, and it's being proven every day. But I think that that's hard, and it's a lot for me to go through. Wexler's, yeah, it's a lot for me to go through, and it's just a lot, you guys. And I spend so much time reading this stuff. Now with Les, that testimony was just weird to me. It was weird. I would hate to be his attorney. Sorry if I misspoke, but y'all know what I mean. So that's a lot, you guys. Do you guys have any final thoughts on that? Okay. Okay. You can't convince me. What is it? You can't convince me that they held that info for years and didn't want to file charges on Trump. Antonio, if you're saying what I think you're saying, I'm going to say exactly, because if Donald Trump did something wrong in there, it would have come out a long time ago. It would have come out a long time ago. Especially before he became president. Man, I wish I could get my screen. Oh, well, I can't see. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. I don't know, you guys, but it's just a lot. What do you get? Wexner, you guys? Weller's attorney told me to shut the fuck up. Valencia, wasn't that crazy? There are photos of him in a different country. I'm not sure. Baby girl, it's in their DNA. It's crazy. That's not true. They were still under investigation. It was a whole lot of stuff being investigated. Are you talking about with Trump, Stephen? Yeah, I'm fighting autocorrect. Damage, I know what you guys mean. No, I'm not buying it with Donald Trump. I'm not buying it with Donald Trump. You guys keep pushing Trump on us. No. And again, I find it interesting that people want to keep focusing on Donald Trump when we have names like Bill Gates, we have the Clintons, we have a lot of people that was in these files. And so some of you are just focused on Donald Trump no matter what's being said. And I find that interesting that you guys, if you're going to bring up, number one, Donald Trump didn't do anything wrong. His name's mentioned, whatever, I get it. There's a lot of people's names that was mentioned. Just because, and I'm going to say this, just because your name was mentioned doesn't mean you committed a crime. I'm not saying that. CDS is rampant. It's Trump or nothing with them. Exactly, Dr. Manhattan, Trump or nothing. And I just, when I see that, it's like, do you guys really care about what happened on that island, or are you just looking for something against Donald Trump? I understand that a lot of people don't like Donald Trump. I get it, believe me. But I stand by, if Donald Trump did something wrong, number one, we'd have it in writing with all the files, and it would have come out during the Biden administration. It would have. Instead, people just keep harping on it, thinking and making up these stories and these scenarios. I don't understand. Naomi Campbell, Woody Allen, etc., all still Epstein in their circle after they knew he was convicted. Troubling case, very dark. And the more that you get into it and read it and go down that rabbit hole, you guys, there's so many conspiracies. It's so layered. I don't know about these eating bodies and stuff like that. My videos do not get monetized when I talk about Epstein or Trump. I don't really understand it. So when you guys are talking about free speech is very costly. There's nothing free in America. Exactly. Being mentioned, associated with Epstein means nothing. Exactly. That's not a conviction at all. MU, but there's official evidence against him in testimony and depositions. But I'm not worried about him. I want everyone. Send it to me. Put it under one of my videos in my community posts. I don't censor the commentary. I'll play it. But I have not seen, no one in this chat can show me where Donald Trump did anything wrong in those trials besides being mentioned in those trials. Not one person has been able to dispute me on it. I called you guys out on it, and no one's been able to show me anything else. I want to see it. We're at the starting line, but they are trying to predict or assume the winner as in Trump. I don't care. Even if I support a person, if something like that would have come out, I would be the first to fire up a live stream and play it. I would play it. I haven't seen it, and neither have you guys. You guys haven't. What you've seen was his name being mentioned and a lot of accusations. But as far as saying that Donald Trump did something with someone else and there's emails connecting him to that, that's not out there. Lee Harvey, he was not convicted of that. I don't care if they are independent, Democrat, Republicans. This whole thing needs to be stopped and stopped now. I agree, but because stuff like this is big business, and a lot of very powerful people are involved, I don't see how it will stop. I would love for it to stop. I would love for anybody to be convicted, but we're seeing a lot of cover-up happening, and that's wrong. So I feel that streams like this, talking about it, is important, because everybody should be brought to justice. I don't care what their position is. If they harm some innocent child and some young girl, it's just insane. All right, zero tolerance for that. Where's my father? My father? I'm trying to know about my father for. They didn't even know this little bit of information that came out on Sidebar. That much makes me laugh, but true. I'm hoping I can speak for everyone in this chat. We all want files to be released. Just release everything. Stephen, I think we all can agree on that. Whoopi is in there. So is she guilty? I haven't said that she's guilty. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. You're not guilty just because your name is mentioned. I find her hypocritical, and there's a lot of things that I could say about Whoopi. Okay? But there's enough people in those files that did something wrong to where I don't need to bring up everybody. Here's a question. Here's the BS part. Everybody that has been proven to be guilty, why are they not in handcuffs? Why are they not in jail? That should be the real question. Nobody in the United States wants to, right? I don't know. I don't know. Birds of a feather flock together. It will all be stopped. The light of God will shine upon the evil. Amen, Shelley. Amen. So, you guys, there's a lot there, and I will continue to go through them, put it together. But I have to take a break sometimes because I read this stuff and I can't believe how evil and dark mankind can be. I just can't imagine what these young girls went through. And the people around watching it and becoming very complacent with it. It's just a different kind of evil. Maxwell is exactly where she needs to be. If she'll talk for a lighter sentence, only time will tell. So far, she's saying she will not say anything more. We know that she pled the fifth, so we don't know what's happening. We just don't know. I won't trust FBI or CIA or justice system for retribution in this. The owners don't want it. People eaten alive for spilled beans, in my opinion. We can't be delusional and think he wasn't into young girls hanging out with Epstein, huh? They've all been covering it up. What about the photos with Trump? I'm not denying that there's not photos and his name in the email, but there's a lot. Again, even if you are on the island, it doesn't mean you did anything wrong. That man would have been convicted. Many people that hate Donald Trump, are you kidding me? We should turn up the pressure on Ghislaine. I agree, Dr. Manhattan. I agree. Maxwell isn't in prison. They let her go when they moved her to Texas. What are you talking about? I haven't heard that. Is that true, you guys? Antonio? Do I need to fact check that? Because I haven't heard that. Hang on. I don't like fake stuff. I can't do it while I'm streaming. My computer's acting up. No, I don't buy that. She got sentenced to 20 years. What are you talking about? Till Ghislaine gets the chair next week. Tell Ghislaine to get the chair next week. She ain't talking. Yeah. Why is he trying to hide the files? It's true. She's not in prison. She's in a low security joint. But she is like, I mean, yeah, I know that politicians. I know, but she's off the streets. She's off the streets like she should be. How did some lady who was a high socialite, very elite, fall with somebody like Epstein? That's a stream for another day. They talked about her self-esteem. Maybe her self-esteem. I'm talking about Maxwell. Maybe her self-esteem lowered when her father died. Something went wrong. They say that she had daddy issues. She missed her daddy, and then her confidence was shaken when she became, when she took over her father's company. I don't really know what went wrong there, but there's no excuse. There's no excuse. Please understand, when you have those from the high ups down to the lows, when you have doctors, lawyers, cops, politicians, athletes who are covering up each other's sins. Yeah. Yeah. Andrew isn't in jail. He only got interviewed. Isn't he going to have a trial, Tracy? I know he got released, but isn't there going to be a trial? I'm trying to see your comments. Let me look. The sad thing, this has been going on since the beginning of time. I agree. Hey, Tracy. The guards at the new jail say they feel like they're working for her. Yeah, you guys, it's a lot. It's a lot. So you think she wasn't flying a plane, driving a bus, captain of the ship? It's a lot. So I'll be praying and following these stories with you guys. It's dark times. Just pray. Pray for our country. Pray for our commander-in-chief. And I just pray for unity and that God will protect these children. Things like that just shouldn't go on, but it's going on even as we speak. And I hate to say that, you guys, but I feel it's important for us just to be aware. Just to be aware, okay? Oh, Drew, you have to be stupid. You're lucky I don't have a mod that can zap you. I don't have a mod. And I can't zap you. So Trump. Oh, but we're not talking about Trump right now. Hey, Akula. Hey, Shipmate. All right. Tell Giznan to talk, or we put you in general pop. Right, Doc? Whoever said that's conspiracy hate. Okay, you guys, thank y'all for hanging out with me. I'm going to lay it down. You guys, feel free to leave me a comment under my community post if you guys want me to look anything up. I will. This is a lot to unpack. It's a lot to uncover. Oh, you got it, Doctor? Oh, okay. I can't tell. I can't tell. People are stepping down, draining accounts, and starting to run the kitchen. It's getting hot. It's getting hot, damage. It's getting hot. Eh. I have a low IQ. Quite the contrary. But nevertheless, you guys, I'll be praying for the country. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. And I will see y'all on the next stream. Where is the United States? Are we headed towards war, you guys? Y'all see what's happening in Iran? We have a lot of things to talk about. All right. I will stay on the Epstein files. I will stay on what's happening, of course, with Donald Trump, what's happening in our country. You guys, leave me comments. Thank you guys for your suggestions, and I will talk to you guys on the next one. Act, thank you so much for the super sticker, my friend. Thank you. Good night, Pink Pal. You take care of yourself as well. Doc, thank you for holding me down. Damage, good to see you. Hey, you guys, thank y'all for hanging out with me, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye. Nothing's going to happen with Iran. Pray for people in the chat. Why so mad? On that note, good night. Good night, Terry.